Hi, my name is Josh, and I'm a watchaholic. Welcome to Horology Insanity. What is up, my watch friends? So, check this out. I've got some Hamilton sitting here in the background. This is part 2 of my little state of the collection Hamilton Squale Oris. And so if you haven't seen my last video, which is part 1 to this, where I talk about all of these beautiful Hamiltons, we'll link that up in the upper right hand corner, and I would recommend to go check that out. It all kind of comes down to me getting this in on trade so that I can help a buddy of mine to get that watch. But while I had it, I wanted to go ahead and film this, and I think some people like watching state of the collection videos, and so I don't create a lot of them. I can't create a full one like I talked about in my other video because it's just way too much, way too many watches. But if I can do them in sub collections, like by brand, then I'm able to do that. And so this one, I did my Hamiltons. Now part 2, we're gonna do Squale and Oris. So this beauty right here is the Onda. It came on a leather Squale OEM leather strap, but I was able to pick up this bracelet with it. So I bought this secondhand, and thankfully the person that I bought it from had both this and the bracelet. And at first they were willing to sell it to me separately, and so I bought it separately because I wasn't sure if I was going to like this shark's mesh or not. And it turns out that I tried pairing this on a couple of different things, and the leathers, the leathers are good for this. In fact, here, we'll give you a sneak peek. I've got another one sitting right here. This is the dark blue one, and I have it on the leather, and it's, it's decent. But I will say that I put this on a Milanese strap, like a much thinner mesh strap, and it just didn't wear right. And I was at lunch with my buddy Jay. We go to sushi all the time. We were eating sushi, and I said, Jay, I love this watch and I love this bracelet, but they don't go together. Not this one, my old one. Keep in mind, my old bracelet. And he goes, oh dude, you definitely need to get a thicker shark's mesh for that, and it's probably worth ponying up the extra for the Squale. And I took his advice, and I'm glad that I did, because I went back to the guy who sold me this, and I asked him, hey, would you be willing to sell me the bracelet now to go with it? And I'll pay for shipping. I ended up paying for both shipping because I didn't include this to begin with, but that was a lesson learned on my part, and it was a valuable one. And so I want to share it with y'all now, just to let you know, there's a saying that a smart person learns from their mistakes, but a wise person learns from the mistake of others. And in my opinion, I would have learned maybe to go ahead and get the Squale Shark's Mesh. Just my opinion. It's such a great bracelet. It comes with all these articulating links, micro adjust, the clasp on it. It doesn't have built-in micro adjust, but it does have micro adjust, and it's a mill clasp. Like, this thing is really, really fantastic. And so that's my lesson learned. Sadly, I do not have a second one to go on this, and I don't know that I'm going to be keeping both of these. I want to experience both of these, and I've had this one for a while, and I really, really like this. Now, it's wrapped up in plastic because I let a buddy of mine borrow this, and so when he sent it back to me, he left it wrapped in plastic, and I was contemplating selling it. And so because I was contemplating selling it, I left it wrapped up, and I don't wear it. I will say, ever since I've sold my Grand Seiko, the SBGA 387, this might be the prettiest blue dial in my whole collection right now. And so the SBGA 387 had kind of had that top ranking. The dial on it was stunning, and I think I even have a video where I compare these two side by side, because I was a little shocked to see how the different shades of blue played when they were next to each other. But when this isn't sitting next to that amazing Grand Seiko, then this is, I think, the most beautiful blue dial in my collection. And so I've got to decide, do I want to keep it? Do I not? Now, I then came across this dark blue one, which I also call purple, because in many shades of light, it looks purple on wrist. But I got an opportunity to buy this at a very reasonable price, and so I jumped on it because I just wanted to be able to compare these side by side, light blue, dark blue, and let's see what it looks like. I had also heard other people comment and say that when they've experienced this dark blue one, that they had a similar thing where I did, where when you're wearing it on wrist and you're just kind of out and about in your day, it doesn't look blue as much as it looks purple. And I have a really hard time ever getting it to look purple on the camera when I'm here in my studio. But man, it's so fascinating, and it's not like a bad thing. I think it's a beautiful color, but it's not always blue. So however that works with light, refraction, etc., it's an interesting dynamic. But I will say the one that I do really want is the pink one. Now, I haven't gone on the hunt for these yet, but I would trade this purple bluish one for the pink one in a heartbeat. So if you happen to have a pink one and you are interested in this blue one, please email me. My email address is in the description of every video that we put out there, and I would be very interested to know that. Or if you just have the pink one and you want to sell it to me at an extremely reasonable price, then I might be interested in that. But we'll see if I can expand it out. Until I get the pink one, it will be this bluish purple one and this beautiful light blue one. Man, that's stunning. Dane, I think, had an aqua version of this. It was like a more greenish teal version of this one here. And so if I can find the video for that one, it's on the Celine Driver channel. I'll put it down in the description. I was kind of curious to see if I could compare this with his, but it didn't work out where I was able to borrow that from him before he was able to sell it. But here we go. We got a couple, and they're pretty beautiful. And I know Squale gets some mixed love and hate. I don't know that I understand it. I think these are fantastic. So maybe let me know down in the comment section if you have heard people hating on Squale for like legitimate reasons. What are those reasons? I would be curious to know. I will say some of the Squales that have the giant Squale name and printed on the side of them, I think people hate on that a little bit in the same reason they hate on when Invicta does that. And I think that's a little justified. I'm going to be honest with you, I don't love it. In fact, the whole reason that I get these Onda versions is because, is it Onda? Yeah, it says Onda down there. The whole reason I get these Onda versions is because it doesn't have that. Like, I purposely get these because I don't want Squale etched into the side of the case. But, you know, I could see why somebody might like that, especially for the historical factor, right? These Squale cases are horologically significant for when they were producing watches and specifically cases for all kinds of other brands back in the day. And so I think that's really, really cool. But aside from that, let me know, what do you think? What is the hate on Squale legitimate or not? Last but not least, and I don't think these do get any hate, at least from anybody other than my wife. My wife hates these watches, but she does it in a playful and funny way. The Oris Divers 65. Now these are the discontinued ones. These are the 40 millimeter versions. My wife calls these the clown watches. Now she does not like the aesthetic of these. She doesn't like the very large numbers at the 12, 3, 6, and 9. But for me, I like these. Now I have other videos on these before, specifically on this one right here, because it's made an interesting journey around some friends. My buddy Chris was, I think, the original owner of this watch. I don't know if he bought it used from somebody else or not, but Chris had it. Chris was willing to part with it. Chris knew that I had this blue and gray Deauville dial, and I actually got this Deauville dial because my buddy Jay had one, and I saw it in person and immediately fell in love with it. And so took me a little bit of time to find one at what I thought was a reasonable price. And in fact, I had to buy it from a dude in Australia, and I shipped it around the world. It was still worth it in the long run. But anyway, so yeah, so this one, inspired by my buddy Jay, because he has this exact same watch. We're kind of like watch best friends, twinsies in that aspect. But I bought it from a guy in Australia. He shipped it around to me. Chris had this black one, and Chris asked me, hey Josh, do you want to check it out? Now at first I wanted to film it side by side with this, but I wasn't sure if I wanted to buy it. And Chris has let me borrow watches in the past, and we send watches back and forth to each other all the time. And so that's not a huge thing, but he was looking to sell it. And so I took the opportunity, because he was, of course, selling it at a very, very reasonable price. And at least for me, at least for me it was. And so I just went ahead and bought it. Now, the funny thing is before I even took receipt of it, because he had to ship it to me, before I even took receipt of it, we had another buddy of ours named Jonas who we were talking to, and it turned out that this black one right here was one of his Grail watches. And so I made the agreement that I would flip it to Jonas after I filmed it next to my Deauville dial. So it was before I even had it, I immediately flipped it. I did a whole nother video about that. It's kind of funny. I think it's kind of funny. And so, but here's what happened. It originally came on the Tropic rubber strap. It didn't come on the bracelet. Now my Deauville dial, this one came on the bracelet. And so Jonas bought this. He was able to get his Grail watch. He enjoyed it. Chris and I were able to get him this OEM bracelet to go with it because another guy in one of our watch groups was selling it. And so we just kind of chipped in and got it for him like as a gift. And so he then put it on this bracelet, and he wore it on this bracelet. But he recently, like many of us do, we get a Grail, we enjoy that Grail, but at some point in time, you get a new Grail. And Jonas's was the Zen 103, I think it was. Don't quote me on that. I know it's a Zen chronograph. I can't remember the model number, but I think it's 103. So what Jonas found out was when he was looking down, kind of like you're looking at the screen right now, and you look at the Oris on the left and you see the Zen 103 black dial on the right, and it's hard to pick which one to grab. But because the Zen had the new factor, I think it was anyway, because it had the new factor, but he was wearing the Zen and he wasn't wearing the Oris. So he reached back out to me and said, "Hey, Josh, would you be willing to reverse the transaction on this?" He was able to enjoy it. He was including it on this bracelet. And so when he sent it back to me, he said he liked the Tropic rubber stroke so much he actually wanted to keep it. And I told him that was fine. And so now I've got both of these back in my collection, but now this one has the bracelet on it too. And I will say these Oris bracelets are amazing. If y'all have ever heard me talk about like my favorite bracelet other than the V1 Combi on the G-Shock squares, it is this Oris bracelet. The taper on it, you know, it doesn't have built-in micro adjust. It doesn't have a lot of other things that I normally would like. I don't even like the rivets, but this wears so great on wrist that I overlook all of those other things. I do. And so I'm really excited that Jonas included this bracelet, and I was totally cool with him keeping the rubber strap. So, but anyway, yeah. So we got the clown watches, the duo, the brotherhood back in the collection, at least for right now. The Deauville is 100% forever keeper. I don't think I'm ever going to get rid of this one. However, I don't know if the black one is a forever keeper. It's going to be a keeper for now. And it's interesting. It's kind of like the last time, like before I had even had it, I had already flipped it to Jonas. So I'm not doing that this time. This is going to stick around just for a little while. Let me narrow down some of my other watches, and but these two are going to stick around for a little bit. But anyway, that's it for this one. I hope you've enjoyed these. Let me know down in the comment section if you like state of the collection videos. I can do more. I can do some of my other watches. Just let me know kind of what you do and don't want to see. Of course, if you don't like them, tell me that too, because I don't want to waste my time on stuff if you don't actually want to watch it. So yeah, anyway, we'll call this one to a wraps. Until we talk again, my friends, please remember what really matters, and that's not watches. Keep the insanity sane.